Welcome to the Electoral Commission of Queensland's webinar about election summary returns for state elections in Queensland. What is an election summary return? An election summary return is a return given after an election that summarises the total electoral expenditure incurred by an election participant and, for candidates, the total gifts and/or loans received for the election. An election summary return must be lodged even if no electoral expenditure was incurred and no gifts or loans were received. All candidates and registered political parties must lodge an election summary return after the election. If a candidate or party has an associated entity, the associated entity must also lodge a separate election summary return. Third parties that are registered or should have registered for the election are also required to lodge an election summary return. The agent of the relevant election participant is responsible for lodging the election summary return. Why do I need to give an election summary return? It increases transparency by providing an overview of your election funding and expenditure to the public. It is also the law. You will receive a fine if you don't lodge your return by the due date. For a candidate, associated entity, or third party, the fine amount for failing to lodge an election summary return is about $300 as of the 1st of July 2023. For a registered political party, the fine is about $1,500. Election summary returns are due within 15 weeks after the election. For the 2024 state general election, the due date is the 10th of February 2025. Regardless of the outcome of an election, you are required to lodge your election summary return. How do I lodge my election summary return? Election summary returns can be lodged online via the ecq's electronic disclosure system, which is available at disclosures.ecq.qld.gov.au. What do I need to include in my election summary return? All election participants, candidates, registered political parties, registered third parties must include this information in their election summary return. Candidates and registered political parties also have other requirements which will be covered on the next slide. In your election summary return, you must disclose the details of each item of electoral expenditure that you incurred for the election, including the name and address of the person who supplied the goods or services, a description of the goods or services, the amount of expenditure, and the date the expenditure was incurred. The election summary return must also include the total amount of electoral expenditure incurred for the election and a copy of the bank statement for your state campaign account. The bank statement should show all transactions relating to your election campaign up until the day before you lodged the return. All electoral expenditure incurred for the election must be disclosed in the election summary return, regardless of the amount or the date it was incurred. Please ensure to keep detailed records of your electoral expenditure as it is incurred throughout your campaign. This will make it easier for you to complete and lodge your election summary return after the election. If you are a candidate, your election summary return must also include the total amount of gifts and loans you received for the election, including amounts below $1,000. All real-time returns for gifts and loans received of $1,000 or more should already have been lodged by the time you submit your election summary return. We have another webinar available on real-time disclosure of gifts and loans if you would like a refresher on these requirements. If you are a registered political party, your election summary return must be accompanied by an audit certificate. What happens after I lodge my election summary return? Your return will be published on the electronic disclosure system. Your bank statement will not be viewable by the public. The ecq conducts compliance reviews after the election and may contact you for information or records relating to your return or bank statement. It is important to keep full and accurate records relating to the information disclosed in your return. All records must be kept and made available to the ecq for at least 5 years after the election. If you have any questions from this webinar or you'd like to know where you can go for more information, the ecq has published a comprehensive range of fact sheets on our website, which you can find at www.ecq.qld.gov.au/factsheets. You can also have a look at the legislation itself. The Electoral Act 1992 prescribes the disclosure requirements for state elections in Queensland. Or you can contact our funding and disclosure team by emailing fad@ecq.qld.gov.au or call us on 1300 881 665. The ecq provides general advice only. Should you be in any doubt regarding your obligations for the election, please seek independent legal advice. Thank you very much for watching our webinar. We appreciate your time and hope that the information provided has been useful to you.